Demonstrators filled the streets for a rally known as Remove the Regime, calling for President Donald Trump to be impeached, convicted, and removed from Oval. The event, organized by the Grassroots Removal Coalition, featured several speakers, including Texas Congressman Al Green, and musical performances from the Dropkick Murphys and artist Earth to Eve.
I give you my assurance that there will be articles of impeachment filed against this president. There will be articles of impeachment filed, and there will be articles of impeachment voted on in the Congress of the United States of America. And we want him removed to make him an example for any future authoritarian who believes that he can take control of the government of the United States of America.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
1. Hey everyone, Adam is here. And what happened on President's Day was nothing short of explosive. Donald Trump was absolutely losing it as massive protests spontaneously erupted in front of Trump Tower in New York City.
And there were also protests to mark the president's 1 year back at the White House. Outside Trump Tower here on Fifth Avenue, dozens of people rallied to voice their concerns about the Trump administration. Some upset over the immigration policies, especially what is happening in Minneapolis.
We're the overwhelming majority in this country, and we support a constitution, we support democracy, and we are very upset about what's going on.
We're out here because Donald Trump is out of control. He's making war on America. He's making war on anybody who doesn't agree with him.
This rally you see here was organized by the group Free America, and in response to the protests, a White House spokesperson said, "Who cares?"
With crowds demanding his immediate impeachment. The protest was called something like, "Give Donald Trump the middle finger on President's Day." And let me tell you, the energy was undeniable. But that wasn't the only thing that ruined Trump's day. Far from it. While protesters were gathering in the streets, multiple stories were breaking that collectively paint a devastating picture of this presidency and its entanglement with the Epstein network. Let's start with what we saw on the ground in New York. President's Day, supposed to be a day honoring presidents, turned into a massive show of opposition against the current one. Crowds filled the streets outside Trump Tower, signs raised, chants echoing off the buildings, all demanding the same thing: impeachment now. This wasn't some small gathering you could ignore. This was visible, it was loud, and it sent a clear message that a significant portion of the public has had enough. And Trump, the man who claims to have all the support, the man who brags about his mandate, had to watch from wherever he was as his own tower became ground zero for protests demanding he be removed from office. But here's where it gets even worse for him. While protesters were gathering, new information was emerging about the Epstein files that completely obliterates any claim of exoneration. We've been told that the Trump administration has released some documents, but what we're learning is that this is barely a drop in the bucket. We're talking about an estimated 50 terabytes of additional Epstein files that are still being covered up. 50 terabytes. To put that in perspective, what they've released so far is likely only about 2% of the total. 2%. And every single time we get a glimpse into what they're hiding, we see the same pattern. Trump's name, Trump's associates, Trump's inner circle, all over these files. And let's just run through the list of people connected to Trump who appear in these Epstein documents in significant ways. Donald Trump himself, obviously, Melania Trump, Howard Lutnick, John Phelan, the Secretary of the Navy, Paolo Zampoli, one of Trump's diplomats, the man who actually introduced Melania to Donald Trump, RFK Jr. Kevin Warsh, the new Fed chair nominee, Dr. Drew, who invited Epstein to a Valentine's Day party, Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, Alex Acosta, Bill Barr, Brett Ratner. The list goes on and on. These aren't random names. These are the people running your government, appointed by a man who was deeply connected to a convicted sex trafficker, and they're all over the files. Now, while all this is happening, while the public is learning more about these connections, what is the Trump administration doing? They're selling Trump Bibles on state media. I'm not making this up. They had Lee Greenwood on, the God Bless the USA guy, and they're peddling Trump-branded Bibles like it's a home shopping network. This is the distraction. This is what they want you to focus on instead of the fact that the Oval Office right now is ground zero for what can only be described as the Epstein class of elites. And speaking of Epstein locations, let's talk about Mar-a-Lago. Trump was heading back on Air Force One from Palm Beach last night from Mar-a-Lago, which happens to be one of the main sites where a lot of the sex trafficking took place. Virginia Giuffre, the underage girl who was trafficked by Epstein, has testified about being brought to Mar-a-Lago. We know that Mar-a-Lago's spa was brought to Epstein's home, which was only a mile and a half away in Palm Beach. We know Trump and Epstein would have events together, just the two of them, and they would invite girls over to Mar-a-Lago. This is documented. This is in the records. And yet, on Air Force One, Trump had the audacity to claim total exoneration. Total exoneration. He's doing the same thing he did with the 2020 election, just repeating a lie over and over until he hopes people believe it. But the files don't exonerate him. They do the exact opposite. They implicate him. Let's just set the files aside for a moment and look at Trump himself. This is a man on audio bragging about sexually assaulting women. On audio saying he inspects girls from his beauty pageants naked because when you're the head of the pageant, you get to do it. On audio saying he grabs women by their genitals because when you're rich, they let you do it. He's bragging about sexual assault. He told high school students this was just locker room talk and that it was courageous to say these things. The man is a sicko. And now he's president again, with all these Epstein-connected people running everything. But wait, there's more. While on Air Force One, Trump was also engaged in more extortion of Ukraine. Right now, there are trilateral conversations happening in Geneva with Ukraine, Russia, and Trump's representatives. And what's Trump doing? He's trying to coerce Ukraine into surrendering all of eastern Ukraine. Not a ceasefire, not a negotiated settlement. Just surrender. Let Russia take it. And why? Because Putin is dangling a fake $12 trillion deal in front of Trump. Never mind that Russia's entire GDP is only $2 trillion a year. It's a complete fabrication. But Trump is willing to sell out Ukraine for a lie. And while that's happening, Trump has sent Marco Rubio to Hungary to prop up Viktor Orban. Rubio is in Budapest saying, "We want you to do well. We're rooting for Hungary as long as Orban's the president." Orban, of course, is a Putin bootlicker. Orban is also part of the Epstein class, and what we see in the Epstein files is a coordinated effort to prop up these right-wing authoritarian leaders. Steve Bannon is in there talking about destroying liberal democracies, destroying the European Union, propping up MAGA-style leaders around the world. This is international in scope. Trump is their vessel in the United States. Orban is their vessel in Hungary. Javier Milei is their vessel in Argentina. Pierre Poilievre was going to be their vessel in Canada. Nigel Farage is their vessel in the UK. Le Pen's party is the vessel in France. The AfD is the vessel in Germany. And while Rubio is in Hungary, you have Alice Weidel from the AfD there too, meeting with Orban's people. This is a coordinated effort of right-wing, fascist, Epstein-class people trying to shut down democracies, steal from people in the chaos, and engage in horrific conduct while doing it. Rubio literally said on camera, "I can tell you, Viktor Orban, our president loves you. We stand by your side." And let's remember, Orban gets all his oil from Russia. Remember when Trump said, "If you get your oil from Russia, you get sanctioned"? Remember when Trump said he stopped India from getting oil from Russia? It was all lies. Everything he says is a lie. He's a fraud. He's a felon. He's a sexual abuser. He's a bankrupt. His whole life has been being a loser with one talent, conning people into voting for this ridiculous nonsense. Meanwhile, there's more breaking news. The New Mexico legislature has unanimously started a truth commission to look into the Zorro Ranch, the ranch Epstein bought in 1993 from a former governor of New Mexico. Epstein lived there until the time he died, allegedly by suicide, which we all know at this point is likely not what actually happened. Interestingly, the ranch was sold in 2023 for about half its value to a GOP politician named Don Hafines, who's running for Texas comptroller. He's a MAGA Republican, fifth-generation Texas businessman. They bought the ranch under an LLC and don't really explain why. But note this, Don Hafines was randomly in Moscow in 2018 when he was a Texas state senator, and his son, Russell Hafines, currently works in the White House in cabinet affairs. He's the Associate Director of Agency Outreach. That's who bought the Epstein Ranch. You can't make this up. There are some bright spots, though. Republican Congressman Don Bacon, one of the few Republicans actually standing up to Trump, posted that he's on a discharge petition to force a vote on Ukrainian aid. They only need one more signature. A separate discharge petition on Russian sanctions is coming. So there are leverage points. And in Hungary, opposition leader Peter Magyar launched his party's election campaign, vowing to end Orban's 16-year rule, tackle corruption, and reorient Hungary back toward Western Europe. That's something the Trump regime is desperately trying to block because they see Orban as a check on the EU and a protector of the Epstein class. And finally, Trump on Air Force One was attacking Wes Moore, the Maryland governor, with some bizarre racist trope about pipes being clogged, and that's why the water in the POTUS is dirty. It's the same energy as his California faucet nonsense, just idiotic. So here's where we are. Protests in the streets, 50 terabytes of Epstein files being hidden, Trump's entire administration connected to a sex trafficker, Ukraine being extorted, authoritarians being propped up around the world, and Trump claiming total exoneration like a broken record. He's utterly exposed. Everyone knows what he's doing. The question is whether the institutions and the public will do anything about it before it's too late.